respected guests on the dais, our Honorable Secretary Chikaya sir and Madhukar of Hiregange Academy, Mr. Gopinath, Center and Community Institute of Management Studies and other 400 plus, degree around 800 plus and MBA 360 students are pursuing degree, and we have a very good demand for our courses because we are ensuring quality to the students. Sir, I also request you any possibility of helping us in academic. Please come forward to help our institution, because the motive of our institution is to give value-based education to our students. In this regard, we are conducting several programs, workshops, seminars, etc. This is one among all these things. I expect that since Chartered Accountants are here and CEOs from various organizations are here, we need your academic expertise. We teach theory and you know practicals. There is a need of blending these two. If we remove the gap between theory and practice, definitely our students will perform well and we can create good citizens to this country. So I extend my warm welcome to our institution, to all CEOs and also Chartered Accountants. So in this academic arena, please any that type of voluntarily, because we will be free on Saturdays, we will call you if you give your visiting cards or it may be address, etc. for our academic exercises. Thank you very much. Have a good day and enjoy our hospitality in our college. Thank you very much.
ಕಾನ್ಫರೆನ್ಸ್ ನಾವು ಬಂದು ಕೇಳಿದಾಗ ನಮ್ಮ ಆಡಳಿತ ಅಧಿಕಾರಿಗಳಿಗೆಲ್ಲ ನನಗೆ ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಕೆಲಸ ಇದು ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ನಡೀಲಿ ಅಂತೇಳಿ ಮುಂದೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಸಹಕಾರ ಹೀಗಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ನನಗೆ ಶುಭ ಹಾರೈಸ್ತೀನಿ.
Thank Dr. Venugopal Reddy for his kind words. Now I request Mr. Madhukar Hiregange to share a few words.
Very good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and Sri Chikana and Dr. Venugopal Reddy. We could make out what is your standard of your college when we entered this place. This is no less than any 5-star facility. So nicely kept. And we just stumbled onto them somewhere. We were looking for a class because the cost should be less. We could look at a hotel. Hotels, immediately becomes more expensive. In fact, sir, today more than we cost actually. So that is a regular system we follow. We look at sometimes needed at that time. For example, this workshop, which is of 2 days, we are doing this in a little of a hurry because on 10th onwards, the new GST returns, though it's in summary form they have asked, returns are going to start getting filed. You have to get ready. You have to prepare many things to make returns. This is a new law. So there's a lot of confusion in the law. Because of that, what we do sometimes is that we hold programs like this. As you are seeing, we are also spending a little money on the video webcast. This webcast will be put on YouTube also, the whole class, which is free for anybody who wants to see. So like this we have been doing for some time. We are an NPO. I don't fund it, except in the starting I funded it. After that we don't fund. It happens on many people from corporates come, they say once in a way. There was a small, at that time there was that aided school you talked about, had only about 2 floors to see what we could do further. And it's very nice to see the institution has become
In the year 2014 on 19th July, the main objective of Hiregange Academy was to empower knowledge and provide employability to unemployed graduates. See, how we do is, we have been conducting workshops and seminars throughout the year, and we also publish booklets, and free e-books are also uploaded on our website. And we have 65 plus eminent faculty in our Hiregange Academy who are either chartered accountants practicing in the area of indirect taxes or advocates. And our chief resource person, Sri Madhukar Hiregange, and C.A. Rajesh Kumar. And all the speakers have, most of the speakers have authored many books on indirect taxes and GST as well. And we have fully equipped in-house training halls at Bangalore and Hyderabad. And we have tie-up with colleges like this in Bangalore for a smaller crowd. And for a bigger crowd, we hire hotels to conduct these kind of programs. We have conducted more than 20 seminars and certificate courses on GST, out of which 9 certificate courses we already completed on GST from April 17 till date. And 44 seminars and workshops on indirect taxes other than GST during 16 and 17. More than 2,500 participants benefited from our programs. And we have some of the links here for our videos and articles. And even if you can visit our Hiregange Academy website, where a lot of articles are uploaded, and we keep uploading our articles also. And you can write your email ID in the book kept outside, and we will be sharing our, those who are interested in subscribing for our newsletters, where you get updates about the GST every month. So we will send the mailers to all of you. If you are interested, you can subscribe and write your name and mail ID in the book kept outside. So in this small brief introduction, we will start the program. And the first session is on, today's program is like this. The first session is on classification and exemptions. This will be handled by C.A. Madhukar Hiregange. And after break, we will start with the program on transitional credits and filing of transfer, and then migration to GST, documentation, accounting entries under various situations under GST, and job work. This is till lunchtime. Post lunch, we have issues under valuation, input tax credit, appropriation of input tax credit, and GST returns and GST returns and interactive sessions tomorrow. We will start the program. The first session will be handled by, as I said, Madhukar Hiregange. He is a chartered accountant practicing in the area of indirect taxes for almost 3 decades, and he has been a mentor for many CAs in the area of his expertise. And he is a senior partner of one of the leading indirect tax firm, having 6 branches across various cities of India. And he has authored many books on indirect taxes. He is a Central Council member of Institute of Chartered Accountants of India for the period 16 to 19, and he is the chairman of Indirect Tax Committee of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. And he is also a managing trustee of Empower Education, where 150 plus underprivileged students are adopted, and every year we adopt about 25 to 30 students to take care of their education. This brief introduction. I request Mr. Madhukar Hiregange to start his session. Thank you.
We'll straight away get into it. So now it's almost 10. At the time of coffee break, we'll take a coffee break. I'll continue after that. So you know that GST became applicable from July, and it has been put in a hurry. Normally, all laws are expected to be put in place after that the law should start. In foreign countries, it is 1 year. Even Malaysia got it in quite some time back. They didn't give 1 year, little less. But in India, a few days, your list of your notifications which you are seeing are all dated 28th or 26th of July. Few days before that, and by the time they came in print, they came in public media, it was already first. So how can a business be ready? Unfortunately, that's the way India is progressing. Company law also was done like that. But over a period of time we overcome. We are very resilient society. We are very smart people. We can manage many things. Difficulties, no food, anything we can manage. We are good at that. So I think government thought anyway they'll manage, we'll do it this way. One way if you look at it, it's good because we would never be ready. Many chartered accountants are here, they will tell you tax audit has been going on for so many years. But the client comes only in September last week. He can come in April, May, June, so many months, but he will come only in September last week. So Modi probably knew that how we behave. So he said, okay, we'll first bring it, then we'll see. And I didn't see much resistance. The only people who resisted were the people who are never paying taxes. Surat textile industry, they never paid tax. Accounts are made, but that also based on fictitious. Depending on their bank entries, the books are made. Nothing to do with reality. Then some bills are put in place. That's how that industry has been working. You should know that Surat was the richest town in Gujarat till about 7 years, 8 years back. And Ahmedabad became richer than Surat. All the diamond and textile of India used to come from Surat, or some significant portion. So what I am trying to say, only people who had a grouse against it were the people who never accounted. But it is also a fact that in India, we have nurtured these type of people. We have given exemptions to them. We have given composition scheme. For example, in Karnataka, composition scheme was given for small people, right? Today, builders are there whose turnover is more than 700 crores. They are under composition. Not today, because now the composition scheme for them is gone. I am saying yesterday, in June, 700 crore turnover they are under composition. They say we don't want to keep books of account. Why? Because they can account they don't have to buy paying taxes. They won't be accountable to anybody. They don't want to be accountable. 700 crores you should be accountable, right? But why are they under composition? Government allowed it. Now it was high time. They allowed it because they took care of it. It's also true. The builders took care of that particular bureaucracy and all that. So it was allowed. From 2 crores became 5 crores, 10 crores, then no limit at all for them. Now they have put 75 lakhs limit on all the composition and 50 lakhs for the smaller states. What GST is supposed to do is reduce the disputes. Today you listen, you find lot of doubts, but if you look at it, disputes will reduce. Earlier you had around 400 plus tax rates. Different states, different items, same item has 7 rates in India, same item. A bottle of water which we are seeing here, it can have 7 rates in India. In GST this will not happen. Item will be 1 and that rate will be 1 throughout India. So like that they have looked at bringing some amount of reforms into the tax system, which is a good thing. If you look at excise, when I started excise in 1987, I started my practice in excise. At that time also we had also develops and becomes like a settled now. But now the government wants it to settle. And the state governments have been pushing for different rates, because of which you are finding a lot of confusion in the area of classification. Even sir was asking, our Chikanna sir who was here, he said, sir, in the newspaper they say everything for education is exempt, but everybody is charging us GST. I said, yes sir, only you are exempt. When you provide education service, you are exempt. You have let out this hall to us, you will have to pay GST. You do anything commercial, you will be liable. Even religious institutions, so many of them were misusing this. You know, in religious institutions, the fee is 20,000 per year, donation is 20 lakhs. What is the donation? Where is it going? These are questions which all of us know answers of. So now they are saying, you want for your education, it's free. Anything else, pay the tax. So they are trying to bring accountability to the system. That is very, very important. We have some different rates now. You have a nil rate. You have some small rate for diamond, 0.25. Then you have a 3% rate for precious stones and other things. Then you also have a 5% rate, which is for those products which recently came into the tax levy. Many of the products like atta, registered brand name, Annapurna atta for example is 5%. But unbranded atta is nil. So they say, okay, if you can pay 50% more for Annapurna atta, 5% tax you can pay to government also. See, look at the government's philosophy. They are looking at seeing that everything is taxed over a period of time. Maybe after 5 years there will be nothing which will not be taxed except maybe water, electricity, some few things. That's all. Everything else should be taxed. That is what is that their thought process in this. What is classification? Classification is a method by which you categorize goods into various headings. You may think, is this something why in India only? It's not true. Classification is a worldwide phenomenon. Whatever classification you are seeing here in this tariff today, it's all contained in the harmonized system of nomenclature which is in existence for last 40-50 years. Every year, every few years they update it also. In fact, we bought the 2017 edition, and in that whatever development, even Indian requirement, what India requires, we can also write to them and they'll include it. After doing due study, they'll include it in some chapter. But then sometimes they are unable to make out what it should be the correct rate. For example, all of us understand dry fruit is something which poor people don't eat, correct? So all the fruits which are there, they have put into wherever the dried items are there, they have put it at 12%, which looks quite reasonable, correct? After all, when you are buying dry fruit, you don't mind if you are paying 12%. But unfortunately, in that, tamarind dry is there. Tamarind dry none of us eat. Hulig haaktivi, sari haaktivi, palyag haaktivi, and that is used by even the poor. ಅವರು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಬೇಳೆ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಹಾಕ್ತಾರೆ, ನಾವು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಬೇಳೆ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಹಾಕ್ತೀವಿ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. That is the difference between the poor cooking and our cooking maybe. Few more vegetables we put, they put hardly any vegetables. But it is used by everybody. Unfortunately, that has also come into dry fruit. Because it is a fruit and it is dried. So it has come. Such things require to be represented. So what I am trying to tell you is that whatever you are seeing here is not the invention of India at all. It is a worldwide with the world. We don't want to be separate from the world. We don't want to be separated from the world. We are getting into global businesses. Foreign direct investments are coming. They require to understand the laws. So if the classification of your tamarind dry in Karnataka or in India, the rate I don't know. In Brazil the rate may be different, in here the rate may be different. So they have tried to align it by bringing this. Earlier in VAT, each state had its own classification. So there was a lot of difficulty and it was not aligned. So which foreign country can come? They can't understand. 20 states, 20 rates, 20 different rules. So they were not able to make out. So this particular alignment to the HSN is a very good move done by Government of India. Now if you have alignment, then how do you classify? So many items are there. You know, the HSN comes in 5 volumes. Each volume is maybe around 300 to 400 pages. This is the international classification I am talking about, not Indian. You know, headings. So what we require is some rules to decide and understand how we have to classify. Many of you might have been very familiar with VAT laws. If you are familiar with VAT laws, you have to forget all VAT classification thought processes other than some basics like specific is preferable to general. Some rules like that will be there. But now today we are going to discuss what are the rules in the interpretation. The law also says that when I am going to look at the classification, I should look at the Customs Tariff Act. We have chosen to take the Central Excise Tariff Act because when you look for any Google or when you try to find any classification, you will find Central Excise Tariff Act is the best place. Almost, I think, around 20-30,000 products you will have case laws on. So if you put, for example, you put tamarind dry, probably you will get a case law on that. Tamarind powder, you will get a case law on that. So it's already discussed, somewhere or other something is discussed. So you may find it useful there. Is this working? No. Hello? Yeah? I think it has gone somewhere in between. Doesn't matter, I can speak from here also. There are very few exemptions in this law. Government wanted to bring down the number of exemptions also. That was the stated objective in GST. About 149 entries are there for goods. That doesn't mean only 149 products, maybe 10,000 products also. But it has got reduced substantially because the government wants to ensure everything is taxed. What happens if I make an incorrect classification? Disastrous. Let me tell you, if you are doing income tax, if you do something, I have done a turnover of say 10 crores and my profit is 10%, 1 crore. In that 1 crore, I can do some planning and reduce, instead of paying 30 lakhs of income tax, I may end up paying 20 lakhs of income tax by doing some planning. So what is it that I have saved? 10 lakhs. 10 lakhs with penalty, even if it comes. Say it comes with penalty, it becomes double. It will become 20 lakhs. What is 20 lakhs compared to my turnover of 10 crores? It's only 2%. Correct? Let us look at the same mistake if I do in indirect tax. Today in GST. Average rate of GST is 18%. So if interest, penalty, everything double, let us keep 36. So if my turnover was same 10 crores, what would be the demand? Demand would be 3.6 crores. How much money I made? 1 crore. After removing income tax, 70 lakhs. I have 70 lakhs of money and I have 3.5 crores of demand. Can you make out how much different it is? Therefore, compliance in indirect tax is extremely important and classification becomes very important. You can't assume that this is the rate. Many of us, we prefer, say I am a businessman, so many of you are from industry. When you see something, you like to see something which is beneficial to your company. So if you see 3 rates applicable, one rate is saying 5, one rate is saying 12, one is saying 18. 95% what will you choose? 18? What will you choose? Tell me. 5. That is, human beings are all like this. Not only you, me also. I am your consultant. Who pays me money? You. Whom am I interested in? You. Therefore, even I want 5%. So therefore, can you see? I already have decided I have to save this company, or you have decided I have to save my employer, or you are the MD of the company. You are inclined to believe 5% covers. So when you read 5%, you read as if you should try to get into that entry. This may be a very fatal error in classification. What happens if you have a wrong rate? I told you. First is the liability will be huge. Second, you have not taken the money from the customer. One important aspect in GST is it's a set off. You get set off. Say you are manufacturing some item, one accessory say, which you sell in JC Road. JC Road vendor says, sir, cash alle kotbidi saku. You say, no, I can only account, you account and give it to him. But in that particular item, what is your valuation? Maybe 20% maximum, 30% let's keep. So 18% is your output tax and input tax will be how much? 30% less than that, 12%. So what is your net cost? 6%. Since you have not paid the tax, your input tax credit also goes away. That is why you end up with 36%. And 36% will destroy you, your family and your old assets, ancestral properties also. That is why people are so scared about indirect taxes. One more thing, it will impact your business, your customers, your relationship with the customer. Customer says all the time your fellow are always having some GST problem. He may try to go to somebody else who doesn't have any GST problem. Earlier, whatever you were doing, your customer did not know. You would ensure that delivery is there. The moment there is an objection, you will replace the item. So many things you used to do. So that he doesn't know what is the state of your affairs. Now in GST there is a compliance rating. If you are not paying in time and not filing in time, there are a lot of mismatches in your account. Your compliance rating will keep coming down. And this will be visible to your buyer. So if your buyer comes to know that your compliance rating is poor, then what he will do? He will stop paying you the GST unless he gets the GST. So you build him 10 lakhs, 1,80,000 GST, he will pay you only 10 lakhs. 1,80,000 he will say, after I get the credit I will give you, because your compliance rating is bad. Actually many of the large industries, they have started assuming your compliance rating is bad. Are you getting? They say, why should I bother? I will assume your compliance rating is bad. After 3 months, if your track record is good, I am getting my credit immediately. I will improve. I will put you into A category and I will pay you 10 lakh, 11 lakh, 80,000 itself. I will not pay you 10 lakhs. This is what companies are saying. Very, very important on that also. One more thing is, this law is not very soft. It is not a soft law where they will send you, please come. You reply by this thing. Sometimes some people will come brown coat and all, they will be wearing full badges, they look like police. And they will behave worse than police sometimes. So it's not a very comfortable law to deal with. How many of you have gone to VAT office till now? Okay, many of you. Is there any of you who found an honest officer in the VAT office? Not even one is lifting the hand. See, more than 60, 70 people lifted the hand, but not even one hand is lifting, say, one VAT honest officer. This is the state of the department. And they are the same fellow. The VAT officer is going to become the GST officer. Luckily, there are some good officers and they are drafting this law. Hopefully, law will come out well. Sometimes what happens after you have done a mistake, as I said, when you looked at it, you felt, no, this is correct. Then department came, they fought with you, you went to a consultant, took an opinion, consultant said, how do you get 12% cutback, sir? Then you know you have to pay. Okay, you have decided to pay. Can you then raise an invoice on your customer and ask him to pay? You can. But will customer agree? Big customers will say, April aayto innenu madakagalla. Some customers will say, get me a certificate from your range office that this is not a malified error. They will not give any paper to you. Then say, show cause notice kodbekagatte nimge if we have to give you anything. So client may be not very inclined to accept your debit note in future. This is also one of the reasons why you have to be ultra careful. Litigation also not cheap. It's not cheap because when you go to the tribunal, for example, now, every time you go to the tribunal, there are some 40 matters listed. Out of 40, are all 40 heard? Only 4 are heard. 36 are either adjourned or some information required, you have to go again. You argue once, then after 2 months again you go argue. If this keeps on going, so the cost of litigation increases. This PPT also will be shared with you. None of you have to note it. I don't know if this PPT is already there in your printout. Is it there? Sir? Is it there? This PPT is there? Not there. So let's see. At least the next seminar they should put the PPT inside this. I will tell them. So this transaction cost, which is the litigation cost, is also very expensive. Remember, every time there is a notice, your officer has to go to the chartered accountant office or the advocate's office. He spends some time, then he fixes up. That person doesn't do anything free. Everything is costing. He will go for the hearing, nothing happens, still you get bill. You will get a bill because he has spent half a day in that tribunal. So he is going to send us maybe a nominal bill. So what we should do to arrive at the correct classification? First, you have to be independent. Independent of the company you work for, independent of the client you work for. That is most important. Until you put independence into your head, you are likely to make a mistake in classification. And your mistake, I already told you how expensive it can be. So what all I can do? First I have to understand the business. Until I understand the business and the product, I cannot give advice. I will give you a live example. I took tamarind because some of them had come recently and it's a very big thorny issue. When these tamarind people came, they told me, sir, tamarind dry is what the farmer is selling. That was correct. Tamarind fresh, there is nothing like tamarind fresh. Tamarind fresh is only whatever fruit is there on the tree. This is what they told me. Not one big person. Some 6, 7 people came and told me, and they have been dealing in tamarind from their childhood. Now they should know more about tamarind than me. So can I accept that word and tell them? So when I only told them, in that case you won't be liable, it will be nil. But then I started studying. I looked at HSN. Then I was surprised to see this tamarind dried in the entry where it is 12%. 12% is of course not HSN rate, it is our rate, Indian rate. I felt it should not be so. Then I kept on studying little more. Why this tamarind dried came? It came because along with all the dry fruits this has been put. Dry fruits okay 12%. This has come along with dry fruits. Then I thought why it has come in dry fruits. I came to know in Thailand and Brazil, if you go, you will find sweet tamarind. And if you look at it, it looks so delicious to eat. It looks better than our apricot and all, anjeer and all. It looks much nicer to eat. Sweet tamarind, which is eaten just like that. So this is the genesis of the tamarind. I came to know why it has been included. Now we have to change it, get it changed, and internationally it will change. So we have made a representation now. Next, tamarind is not only tamarind. Tamarind is such a wonderful thing. It's like a cow. Everything which the cow does is useful for society. Whatever you say, urine also is used. The dung also is used. Some are used for medicinal purposes also. Like that, this tamarind also is like that. Nothing in a tamarind goes to waste. First, that pulp becomes tamarind, whatever you and me put for uli sambar. The seed of tamarind, it is also sold. That kernel has lot of properties. So that is powdered and used in cattle feed. It is used in many places because it has certain qualities which are medicinal. Medicinal companies also buy tamarind powder. You see all these posters being put on the roadside. That liquid, brown color liquid which you see is that tamarind powder paste. It's much cheaper than buying Pidilite or whatever, fix it. Much cheaper. So that is used there. The cover, that cover is there. No? Cover of the tamarind is powdered and given for cattle feed. Chicken, even for poultry feed. So I found
wonderful exercise of learning, just looking at that small thing called tamarind. Initially when they said, I was laughing at them. Then I came to know what a big industry it is. So I had to do all this, understand the international understanding of that. Then of course if there is a company's website, you can see. If company's website is not there, you have enough other knowledge websites. And anything you can get an image today. If you go to Google and put any product and say images, you will get the images. Only thing you have to put correct product. For example, if you put tamarind, you try this. Tamarind you put, you will get one sheet. Then you put tamarind dried, you will get the same sheet. Are you getting what I am saying? So you have to now put properly. Tamarind fresh you have to put separately, tamarind dried you have to put separately, and then look at what and why there is a difference. Sometimes technical write-ups are required if I want to classify properly. Scientific technical terms, new age products, space products, transponder, anything which is new, you may require to have the latest information available, for which you may require to understand some of these terms as they are for the product, as they are understood in the market also is there later. What is the competitor's classification? Is it useful? Sometimes the whole industry is classified wrongly because it's a lower rate. So you have to be careful with this. This can only be a clue for you to study that chapter also. Just because my competitor has taken a particular classification, I cannot adopt that. Just because my supplier is there who supplies many things, he also supplies my own product sometimes. When I don't have, I will order from him, put my label and sell it. His classification may be different. So vendor's classification, competitor's classification can indicate to you there is something wrong. Then you have to verify whether what you are doing is correct or not. Dictionary, Wikipedia is very useful. I found Wikipedia to be very useful in classification in the initial stages. This is to talk about how HSN is a good guide. See, whatever happens now, for example, the classification list you have got is mentioning some 1207 headings, which is very small compared to the HSN. So if you have a doubt, you have to go into the depth. As far as the goods are concerned, it is HSN. As far as the services are concerned, there was an earlier publication called Service Accounting Code, SAC. If you put it in Google also, you will get it. SAC gives you classification of services, and you will be, let me tell you, very useful, even useful for a person like me who has some good idea about the law. Even for me, I have changed my classification because of SAC. Yesterday, one person came and told me, I am putting up a humidification, HVAC and air conditioning plants I put up. I said mostly 28. He said yes sir, but all my competitors are doing it, not all my competitors, one or two competitors doing it 18. So then I went, I checked in the goods classification and it came to 8415, and I have some humidification clients also. In the past, in excise I remember it was 8415 only. So I told him, mostly you are here, but let me see service accounting code. When I went in service accounting code, I saw one place very clearly, heating, humidification and services, that installation services. It was specifically there under 1999 something 63 in a 6 digit. Now we require only 4 digits in the GST, but you should not restrict yourself to 4 digit unless you end up making mistakes. You may end up making mistakes. So as a consultant of confirming, you cannot stop yourself at 4 digits, you have to go beyond, and there are tools available for you, already available. How long did this take for me? This whole exercise of this HVAC took me 10 minutes. Talking to him, asking him, opening central excise, the product code. That is because I had some knowledge. Maybe for you it will take 1 hour, but you would also have reached the same place where it says 18% instead of 28%. Now when I was able to do that, client's problem is solved. all his marketing issues are over, because he was thinking, how can I classify something? Welcome Annapurna. Annapurna is the next speaker and one of the regular supporters, I should say, in academy. I have also had the advantage of putting my name on her book, one of the old books. I think it was based on some old book of mine, but most of the work was done by her. Anyway, most of the books which I write nowadays are done by somebody else. And my name comes first. Anyway, the law also is very clear, Supreme Court also is very clear that you can look at HSN. As I said, the interpretive rules are there, we look at it. The most important thing in the interpretive rules you have to remember is, don't try to remember what appeals to you. Law is not what appeals to you. Law is what is stated there. So this classification has to be done in the order. In sequential order only you should do your classification, and you may find some other reason coming to you because of which you feel you should classify somewhere. First go as per the order, then use your logic. When we look at something, straight away you may say AC plant, it should come into 8415. You could say that. But that is not the way it is supposed to be done. You have to look at all the entries. I asked that client, who are you? He said, what do you mean, whom I am? I am installing. No, who are you? Then finally he said, I am a system integrator. I said, you should have told that in the starting. You behaved as if you are a supplier of AC equipment. But you are a system integrator. All the items are going to some place and you go and install it. Put the ducts, mix. You are like a, assembler. He said, yes. Then I said, I should look in services, not in goods for you. The people who supplied all those goods, they should look in the goods. You are a system integrator, I should see in services. So first mistake I had done was, I had not understood his business very well. Because of which I wasted whatever, 10 minutes or 7 minutes for that. So sequential is very important to look at. So what is the sequence? The first and most important thing is, if you look at your tariff, the tariff which is there for your item, it says, it gives various schedules, 5% schedule, 12% schedule, 18, 28, all that. Correct? Different schedules are there. But it also says, these are based on the custom tariff act. And invariably in every tariff book which you buy in the market, custom tariff act is there, where all the items are put into one sheet, where they may give rate also, different rate. One will be at 5%, one will be 12%. If it is a if it's a IGST rate, otherwise it may be 2.5, 6 and 9, etc. Correct? So now when you go to the HSN book, you will find there will be something called section notes. So the whole tariff is now 99 chapters are there. In these 99 chapters they are broken up. 99 chapters services. These 98 chapters are broken into sections. Within sections are chapters. 98 chapters are there. So under each section, there may be some section note. It's very important to read your section note. If your product falls into something, go to the section, read the section note. 99% it may not be useful. But 1% when it is useful, it is more important than your entry itself. Because section note determines what is there inside. After section note, you have to go to chapter note. Whichever chapter you are reading, don't go only to your entry, go to the top. There will be some things mentioned there. This chapter includes the following, this chapter excludes the following. That is very important for you to read. Then you should read the entry itself. What is the entry under which your item is falling? As per you. Plain term, whatever you have chosen, you don't have to do anything more. And you will be surprised, 80% of the cases this will be true. You don't have to do much in classification. Sometimes, however, it will not give you true picture. Sometimes. You will get a doubt because of various other reasons. By the time you do all this, you would have read some entries on the side. Maybe somebody else has classified somewhere else. All this market information you have. You have to confirm that what you are doing is correct. And therefore, you may have to go further. So as I said, if the first one is there, you don't have to read interpretation rules at all. Finished with that. But you might like to look at it. And you cannot use logic. Look at the second example I have given. One is chapter 84 refers to nuclear reactors. It also refers to hand pumps. So your thought process that nuclear reactor should be some other chapter, hand pump should be different chapter may be wrong. What I am saying, please park your logic. Your reasoning you please park when you come for classification. Okay, very important. So these are all, this case law is to underline that the notes as it says, that is most important. Let's look at if you cannot, if you are unable to make out, then you look at the next rule. Next rule is very simple. There is a car without the wheels. It is still a car. Incomplete car. So you classify it as a car. It will talk about, always take an example of a perfume. If you look at a perfume bottle, 100 ml of liquid is there. In that, the perfume is only 1 ml or 2 ml. All the rest is inert substances, stabilizers. But it is not called stabilizer, it is called perfume only. Essential item which gave the characteristic is that. If there is no essential item, it's a mixture. Then which is predominant, you will have to look by weight, value, understanding, some other method. So that is the rule 2b. Next is, if you cannot adopt that also, then you can go for specific. For example, we have taken an example of steering wheel of a car is part of motor vehicle. Steering wheel of a car you see anywhere, you will say this is the steering wheel of a car. Therefore, it becomes specific. Anything which is specific you can take. Say in this car, on the wheel there is a nut. There are 4 or 5, 6 nuts are there. Where should that come? Will that come as a part of a car? May not come as a part of the car because of something of general use. That nut is used there also. You can use it somewhere else also with the same size of screw which is there anywhere else. So there you will not apply specific versus general. But where there is specific, there you can apply this rule. This rule is very important rule from classification point of view for goods and services. Everywhere this is applicable. If you find some residuary entry and you say that it should go to the residuary entry, then there also it is coming and there is a specific entry. It is also possible it can come there. Then you should choose the specific entry. Supreme Court said, when there is a parentage for something, why are you putting it in the orphanage? If the parents are not there, then you can think of putting in the orphanage. If parents are there, you have to put under the parent itself. This is only a reference, but why I said this is something which will stick in our mind. Never go to an orphanage when the parents are there. That is what is the rule about specific versus general. This one more example is there which you can see later other than the perfume example of a concrete mix. Assume all these things I cannot do. We have tried. First was we put into the headings, it's not coming. My item is not coming clearly into heading. Second, it's not incomplete item. It's not an incomplete item, it's a complete item. So there is no question of comparing. Then I go to whether it's a mixture. It's not a mixture, it's an item in itself. Then where do you go? Then you go for specific versus general, you are still not sure. Then what you can do is, you can go for the one which comes later, the classification which comes later. For example, let me go back to my tamarind example. Say I was not able, in this case I was clear it is tamarind dry. Assume I was not able to make out. Then 0810 is tamarind fresh, 0813 is tamarind dry. So where I should go? Which one I should choose? Assume I have a doubt. 3 or 0? I am asking you. Yes, it should be 0813 because that is a later heading than 0810. Simple. Sometimes they have taken simple things, but law is not so clear. After that, akin rule, rule 4. Akin, something which is akin to it, nearby. sister, brother, cousin type, it looks that item. Then you can also go for that. Special rule for packing. Normally packing cases like a Colgate carton or a aftershave carton, it is along with the aftershave itself. The value of that is part of that aftershave. It is not classified separately. When you get sold paste, they don't say packing material this much. They don't say that. You get it as a paste only. That is a general rule. But sometimes items are specific. For example, camera. The camera will have so many particular shape, and it will have some accessories which have to be stored. So these are all special cases made for the camera. So the camera case, though it's a general packing item, it will be called a camera part only. Gun, for example. Many of us, of course, gun we may not have. Maybe in the north it's a little more. Here we don't have. We can have for packing material which are specifically made for that, then it can be under that item only. Otherwise, packing material is a general item. It will be falling under chapter, I think 40 something. It depends on where you are. If it's plastic, 39 something, like that. This we have already talked about. Let me look at some non-statutory principles. See, these topics are not that interesting. I'll try to give you examples to make it interesting. Beyond that, I can't do. The point which is very important is that many times when you do all this also, you can't get the clarity. So when you don't get clarity, what you have to do? So you can look at ISI. There are so many lists available everywhere. In fact, when I looked at the services list, I found even a bigger list. National, NSF something. There is a huge list of services which is even more elaborate than the SSC. SSC is elaborated. This is the next level of elaboration. So that also, if for consultants, they may like to look at it. You put a Google search for classification of services. There is some national, I don't remember the name, but it's available, which is much deeper. So sometimes these technology items, complex chemicals are there, then you might have to look at the pharmacopoeias, you might have to look at ISI. Please understand, once you are able to get this, then this will be very important. This technical literature are very important. And you can produce this, these are authoritative books, you can take Xerox copy, show it to the tribunal in case of any dispute. I am expecting a lot of disputes in GST because of the way it is. Say it's a common item, then should I use technical books? No, I don't have to. I can't use technical books for a non-technical item. Trade parlance, very important theory and very useful for us to understand also. How the trade actually understands this. The trade says this is this, but the rest of the world is saying it is something else. But you can never give too much weight to the trade if the first few rules are correct. Please understand. I'll give you an example again from this tamarind. Tamarind seed, when these people came, not one or two, and many of them are educated people, some of them are educated abroad also. Because that's the amount of money which is there in tamarind, I realized. It's not that they came with dhoti and all. Some of them came in BMWs for that meeting. So these people, when I asked them, they said tamarind seed. Sir, I asked them, is this seed different from a sowing seed? A seed which I used to plant tamarind. He said, yeah, everything is same. Then I asked them, see, you give me garbage, I will give you garbage. So you are the experts, you should tell me. All of them were very clear, not even 1% had a doubt that the tamarind which they are selling is also the tamarind which is sown. But the reality was, sowing seed, if you go and put a Google search, you will get large number of articles which will tell you there are 6 conditions to be met for a sowing seed. It should be free of any bacterial infection, fungal infection. It should not have any debris. debris of the plant or from which it comes. That means any part of the tamarind debris should not be there. It should be a full fruit, full seed. So many, 6 conditions to make it a sowing seed. So when they came to me and they told me this, I told them it's exempt. Anyway, you send me, I will study and tell them. In both these cases, unfortunately, I had to tell the clients I was wrong. Why was I wrong? Because I took a decision without looking at everything. If a person with 26 years, 28 years experience can make this mistake, anybody can make a mistake, right? So you should realize this. Normally we won't admit all these things. I am telling you because this is the reality. The client gave some information, based on that I gave him the advice. I should not have given him that oral advice. I should have told him study ಮಾಡಿ ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ. Then I wouldn't have to take 2 views. Because when I gave the view later in writing that it is liable, there was so much. That day you told it's not liable. I said that day you gave me wrong information. You said this seed is used for sowing, but show me one farmer to whom you are selling. They said no, we sell in the trade. He will sell to the farmer. Then I said that is what you should have told me. You should have told me I don't sell to farmer, I sell to trade. I assume he is selling. Then I would have told you, okay, find out now. You so many of you are here, call some 2 or 3 of your traders and find out how many people he is selling to. The answer would have been nil. Everything was going in the trade only. But they gave the wrong impression because they are all wanting nil rate, correct? Remember, they are all smart fellows. They already know the rate. They only come for confirmation from Annapurna. Now Annapurna says, then they will go, the department people will say, Annapurna Kabra, I know 10, 15 years, she is a very good consultant. If Annapurna Kabra has said, we won't bother you. This is all said orally. After 3 years, one smart officer will come. Then Annapurna Kabra will say, Madhukar sir also gave the same thing, opinion. They will say, Madhukar or Annapurna, the law is different, pay for the last 5 years. 36, or in this case, 5% into 6 years is how much? 30. 30 into 2 is 60. 60% of your turnover. Very, very dangerous. So, as I was saying, in trade parlance, when item is not defined, then you can use trade parlance. And for trade parlance also, you have to see that it is independent. Don't tell them, idu one tankodpudappa yardo onde affidavit. You say, go to the best. For example, if it's an agricultural commodity, you tell them, go to UAS and take an expert opinion. Or you take an opinion from some people in the trade who are recognized. Don't go to some Lallu Panchu and take an affidavit and say, here is an affidavit. Please ensure things are done actually independently. That's why I started with saying the biggest quality of classifying properly is the quality of independence. You should be independent. Whatever you do should be independent. Evidence should be independent. Sometimes even the function and use will give you an idea, a clue. If you look at this sowing seed, it's a functional thing, correct? Seed used for sowing. Otherwise, seed means it's seed only. It's tamarind seed only, but not used for sowing. So the functional use of the goods also sometimes can make a difference if it is applicable. Sometimes if you have got some chemical item, then you can even look at the composition to arrive at what it is. For example, in the agarbatti industry, they put all these agarbatti, once they make the sticks, they dip it into one liquid, which is the secret formula of that particular industry. What is that was a question once. That time I had used this law, because what was inside that was mixture of odoriferous substances. So we called it a perfumery compound when we wanted to classify that. This is many years back, 10, 12 years back. Sometimes expert opinion is useful. Expert opinion means of an expert in that area. For example, you have a defense equipment and the department says, no, this item is not a defense item. So you take a certificate from a person who is in the defense. Say director, deputy director in some defense aeronautical institute. You take a certificate from him, then this officer cannot say anything. Officer may say whatever he wants to say. You can tell him, sir, you can stand on your head also. Nobody is going to listen to you because you don't know what aeronautical is. It's a different matter that he doesn't know GST also. That is a different matter. Most of these fellows, they don't know things and they will keep fastening you with all sorts of things. Dictionary meaning. Most of the time what we do, the moment any issue comes, first you open dictionary. Dictionary is coming much later, you see. We didn't put it, if you look at the priority, it is coming far, far down the line. It doesn't come in the starting. If you have no clue what it means, you can read the dictionary. Otherwise, please don't start with dictionary, you may get, go the wrong way. Decided case laws, can this be useful? Yes. The way you have to do this is, you should arrive at one or two classifications which you think are appropriate, then check the case laws. As I said, 20,000-30,000 case laws are there. Please do not check the case laws of VAT. Many times people are going with VAT law. For example, recently somebody asked me, free of cost material, whether we have to pay GST. Under service tax also there was one case which said that free of cost material you need not add. And Annapurna will confirm there are many Supreme Court decisions in VAT which say that you don't have to add for free of cost material. Especially if the contract is not a gross contract but a net contract. Correct, Annapurna? So this is what VAT law is. But is that case law relevant now? No. Because the law of valuation is dependent on excise. They have copied from central excise valuation rules. They have not copied from VAT. If they had copied from VAT, I would have said excise ko chodo. Now that they have copied from excise, you have to follow only excise. VAT cases no longer relevant. So for all your classifications, either customs cases or central excise cases only you should refer, unless you want to fool the department. Of course, you should remember one very, very practical point. Normally, I always tell many practical points, which will be totally against all the reason and all my lecture also. Say I am the VAT officer to whom you have to come. Do I know central excise cases? No. If you can give me one VAT case which is favorable to me, I will agree. So what you can do, first find out classification correct, then you search whether you can get one VAT case which is in my favor. Even if the commissioner has passed, it's okay. Get that order and show it to him. He won't bother about Supreme Court and all. He will go with your case of the commissioner. This is the practical side of it. But VAT cases normally not required for this. Whenever you have a possibility in GST, you have two rates you are getting fixed at. For example, one more example I'll take. One client came to me and he said, sir, I am making brochures. So I said brochure, and then we did all this and I started searching. He said, sir, I already know the rate, 5%. I said, then why you have come to me? Sir, problem is, commercial catalog is 12%. So I said, what is the problem? In my mind, as a consultant, brochure, commercial catalog, two different things in my mind. He said, sir, there is a very thin line of difference. I said, if you cannot make out the difference between a brochure and catalog, then how you expect anybody else? You are in the business for 10 years. You don't know the difference between brochure and catalog. How can you expect officers to know the difference or me to know the difference? He said, yes, this is correct, but there is no, I am doubtful. I have my own doubts. So I said, what would you call it? He said, I will call it brochure. I said, why? He said, because rate is 5%. I said, you are going to destroy yourself if you are going to continue this. Then what I did, it's a big company. Don't think printers are small nowadays, 70-80 crores turnover. So I went to his website. I started looking at all his products. I told him, I spent 5 minutes on your website. You are not at all making brochures as per your website. But you have catalog. I said, on website you are doing catalogs, but to me you are saying you are making only brochures. What type of a fool will give what product he is doing, he will not put on his website? Are you getting what I am saying? His website said something else, he was saying something else. You will be surprised, you should ask for purchase orders. Give me 5 purchase orders from your clients. Sample, give me 5 bills you have raised. You will be shocked. In his bills also he is putting brochure only. And his client also calls it brochure only. The whole world is working on brochure. Because the rate has become different, he wants you to say Tata Astu for brochure. Everywhere commercial catalog is mentioned. Brochure is not there in anything. Because he also, before GST came, he also was thinking it's commercial catalog. Suddenly mind has changed. Is it possible to have a mistake and mind change? Answer is yes. It is possible that it is wrongly classified. I'll give you an example. There is a person who works nowadays in the garmenting industry. He works for foreign buyers. So the foreign buyer will contact him and tell him, I want you to develop the Indian market. I want you to give me how many factories are there in Bangalore which can supply me this quality, this quantity material. So then this fellow runs around, finds so many things, he identifies some 25 factories, he goes to each of them, tells them this is the company, you can get this much order, that much order, if you do this, you'll have to have white clean toilets, for every 100 employees you have to have a toilet at least 4. Many of the places you go now, big hall, 500 people, you go to toilet, only 2 toilets, one for ladies, one for gents, finished. Oh, where they will go in the break? So they have kept all these rules to be able to supply for that foreign country. So he does all this work for years together. Finally there is an order from that person to that fellow. An order is accepted by the foreign buyer. He gets paid on the sale made. The consideration is the percentage of sales. But it won't be 1%, 2%. It will be 10%, 12%. Why? Because there is a lot of other activity he does. He checks the quality also of that item as is it in production. He sends production samples. He understands what the buyer wants to know. He would have gone many times to the buyer's place. The buyer's agents would have interacted with him. So he is able to tell the person, exporter from India, what exactly is required. 5 minutes for coffee break, is it? My session now. How can it be? I started at 10:40. All that we had now. 10:40 yesterday. 9:40. What is the time now? 10:50. Yeah, I still have 30 minutes. After coffee is ready, is it? Coffee is ready? Ready, yeah? Then after this slide will stop. I have still half an hour. I take my time. All this inauguration and all requirement of our academy. He's trying to cut off 30 minutes of my time so that lunch is at time, everything is in time. I said in the starting only I'll take a break and we'll come back. We'll have coffee quickly. I'll finish this. New technology products. So this is the last slide. After this we'll go for coffee. As far as services, till now we looked at goods. What about services? Look at the agreement. There sometimes are agreements which are master service agreements. Then for that work there is a statement of work. Please look at this. Many people don't ask for statement of work. They simply see master service agreement which will say nothing, which doesn't indicate anything. But sometimes the master service agreement can be very important. One multinational company many years back in service tax, they called me for a meeting and there was a foreign CFO. He gave me 5 minutes lecture of how ethical the company is. He thought I am unethical, maybe. He doesn't know, I am far more ethical than that company can ever think of being. But anyway, I listened to all that and then I asked him, give me the master service agreement. We'll give it to you, sir. But we are always right, we don't do this, we don't do that. Then he bought the agreement and the agreement said, manpower service agreement. The moment that heading I saw on the top, I told him, sir, how much manpower you are taking? Around 400 crores. 400 crores into whatever was the rate at that time of service tax, 12%. So I said 50 crores in 5 years, so about 300 crores base demand, interest another 200 crores, interest and penalty, 500 crores will be your demand. I didn't open that agreement, please understand. On the top of the agreement itself it's saying master, manpower service agreement. Any officer who sees that agreement would have put 500 crores demand on it. After that he called for coffee. He was terribly worried. Then he said, what can we do? I said, you said you are an ethical organization. As per me, you should pay for 1.5 years. Rest of it we'll fight. He said, very good sir, this, that and all. After that, nothing on the subject was talked. After another 20-25 days, I got one agreement. Software Development Service Agreement. Same company. Did you get what I said? How important that agreement can be? You have to look at the agreement. You have to look at also the statement of works. What it says. Is it in line with that? Can you make something into something else? Maybe not. Terms of agreement, a classification of the service should be independent. Very important. As I said, if there are combined services, then you may have to go for the service which is the principal service. It can be possible. I come and give you consultancy, you say, Madhukar, why don't you get that, some problem is there with that particular return. Can you send somebody to help me? He came to me for consultancy, I am giving him consultancy, I ended up doing something else, BPO work. I might do. But the main thing was consultancy, so essential service could be consultancy in that case. Essential character is very important to be followed in services. Let's break for coffee. We will come back as soon as possible. This thing should take about half a day. We are trying to compress it into 90 minutes. One more point which is there is that when I have looked at this classification, sometimes many of us carry baggage. What is baggage? Our past experiences. Sometimes this baggage can make us go wrong. In life actually, if you see, most of the times when we are making mistake, you will find baggage causes the mistake. Because I have already decided that Annapurna is like this. If I think, when I see Annapurna, I smile. Why? Because for me, she is full positive. But there is somebody else, when the moment I see them, they may be actually better than Annapurna, but the way I look at them is like they are thugs or rogues. Why? Because baggage. Don't carry baggage when you are doing classification. No assumptions, no presumptions. Look at the entry as it is. Read it like a common man. Don't try to put any meaning into anything. Don't try to put any word into that entry. Don't try to remove any word also. Don't assume that one word in that entry is wrong. Please never think that way. Every word will have some meaning. It is not by mistake it has been done. Remember, this is coming from HSN. HSN is in use throughout the world for more than 50 years. So many countries have given their thought process. Nothing is given by mistake. So you should remember that. As a professional, you have to be ultra careful. Don't give a view which will make your client feel happy, because if you give that view, tomorrow client can be destroyed. When you are giving a different view, a view not positive, or let us say you say give positive from client's point of view, tell them to disclose to department if there is doubt. Many times there is no doubt. I told you, 80% of the classification. We are only sitting in this class to make out the 20% where we may have some doubt. And the 10% which are totally doubtful. Even after all this, you will be still doubtful. Then what to do? That also we will look at. Some of the points are that exemption notification, if you look at, and you say, I think I fall into this exemption. Wrong philosophy. You have to be certain you fall into that exemption. Strictly construed. You can't take liberal view for exemption because of the impact, negative impact which can be there. There can be more than one exemption you fall into. In the 100 flats, 5 members are falling beyond 5,000 every month. So you calculate, beyond 5,000 you have to calculate what is the total service. If the total service is coming 7 lakhs or 11 lakhs or 14 lakhs, it is less than 20 lakhs. So you claim the other exemption also which you have, which is that you are not providing taxable service beyond 20 lakhs. So you can take 2 exemptions also. You can even opt if one of them is better and you say, okay, this only I will take. But you have to look at the conditions. For example, I am a transporter of goods, I am a goods transport operator, and I am issuing consignment note for all your consignments. Now you are supposed to pay 5%. If you are doing 100 crore business with me, then should you not examine why I should go for that? If you look at the conditions of that exemption, I am not supposed to take credit. If you have to pay 5%, I should not take credit of anything. My vehicle credit is 28%. I have lubricants at 28%. My spares come at 28%. Insurance I take, which is 18%. My vehicle is getting serviced at 18%. All of these credits I am not able to take because I have to allow you to take 5%. But you are also in business, you can take credit. So you should tell me, Madhukar, today you are charging me 100 rupees and I have to pay 5 rupees, which I take credit. You take credit after paying under reverse charge. You can tell me, Madhukar, I don't want to pay this. You charge me 92 rupees or 94 rupees from now on, and on that you charge 18%. I will take the full credit. Now what has happened in this case? You have reduced your headache, number one. Number two, your basic cost of transportation has been reduced by 8%. Did I lose any money? No. My insurance service tax, my spares, my servicing, my vehicle capital goods, I have taken that credit to pay for you. That 8% discount has come from credits not taken earlier. So sometimes looking at the conditions, you can decide whether you should take that or not. If you don't take it, you will be liable for the full rate. The full rate may be better. There are some exclusions in GST, you should remember this. I am not going to take a long time. These are the exclusions. They have been kept out of GST. Okay. When exemption and exclusion is little different. Exemption is it is there part of the tariff but exempted by certain entries. Exempt supplies, zero rated supplies you should understand because they are different. Zero rated does not mean nil rate. Zero rated means when you are doing exports or you are supplying to SEZ, only two. Only in the physical exports or supply to SEZ is zero rated. In those cases you can avail the credit while you don't pay any tax. Whereas in all other exempt cases you can't avail credit at all. It's a major negative. Recently one of the persons came yesterday, in fact. He said, sir, for us no problem, lot of credit is there, I will pay all my taxes out of that credit. I said, but your business is 90%, you're from hospital. I said, your business, 90% of your business is exempt, so you can't get 90% credit broadly. Of course, there are rules specific, you have to find out how to take the credit. He was a little shocked. No, sir, I have paid tax on that. I know. But you are not paying tax on 90%. No, so 90% of common credits you can't get. Philosophically, you can't get. You have to pay tax to get credit. You can't get credit without paying tax, except for zero rated. This threshold exemption also is a major exemption, 20 lakhs exemption. And if you look at the definition, very restrictive definition. I may have 5 lakhs of supplies, but if I am doing one transaction with Telangana, which is a IGST transaction, my exemption is gone. If I do this transaction from my side, and it happens, for example, I am a consultant, my transaction, I am having around 15 lakhs or 17 lakh business, and I didn't register. Somebody from Telangana wanted some advice, I gave him and sent him a bill also. What will happen to him? Under 5(4) of IGST, he may decide, why should I bother? I will pay the tax, reverse charge. He will pay reverse charge. He will mention Hiregange and Associates, Bangalore. Automatically, I will get a notice. How can you not register? Why? You are doing interstate transaction, how can you not register? Are you getting how this thing system will work? So many people have to choose to get out of this threshold exemption. Because if you do many things, you are in the exemption. Sorry, if you do many things, it has to be included for the exemption. For example, exempt supply. The definition of exempt supply is that it includes non-taxable supply also. So non-taxable supply is what? Petrol and all those 5 products are there. So if I am doing that also and that is aggregate is coming to 20 lakhs, I have to register. My sale of lubricants in that small petrol pump in a small town is only 5 lakhs per year. But my petrol is around 1 crore. Immediately both are to be added. Are you getting what I am saying? Exempt or this. So this is one of the big exemptions. Many people think in income tax they used to split. I will have one concern first, then my wife, once I get married, I have one concern for her. Then after that, maybe with her brother I will have one concern. Then she and her brother will have one concern. Brother will get married, then his wife and me will have one concern. Like this we will make around 100 concerns. So can we take 100 concerns into 20 lakhs to 20 crore, can I do work? I am asking you, can I do? All are separate entities. I am asking you whether it can be done. In income tax it can be done. In indirect tax, in GST there is nothing which bars this. But let me tell you, the officers will bar it. Because officers have seen this happening in SSI, in excise. Same officer is there now also. The officer has not changed, only his name has changed. Central Excise Officer became CGST officer. That's all. Inside his head is all the same. Hege hidibeku, hege dudu madbeku. That's all. So he will say, "Naan heltini sir, ನೀವು ಹೋಗಿ Supreme Court ಹೋಗಿ." So you may have to be careful. If you are doing that, you will have to see that even if you set up concerns, your financial, the reason for setting up the concern, your financial independence, your management independence, if you are doing processing or producing, production independence should be all separate so that they can't be considered to be one entity. Some of the guiding principles which I have mentioned, normal reading, expressions used in the earlier law, can we use it now? In my view, you can, because this schedule, the goods has been copied from central excise, services has been copied from service tax. So since it has been copied from there, first you will have to see whether the same is there. Whether it is the same. If the entry is different, then you can't use the old entry. The entry is the same, you can copy paste your old understanding into the new understanding. But first you have to do is, you have to compare whether it is the same. Many exemptions in service tax, for example, have been withdrawn. How many of you are on LinkedIn? Yeah. I have written an article just a couple of days back on what are those exemptions in service tax which have been withdrawn. Because many of them think it is continuing. We were exempted, we should be exempted, so they don't bother. No, we were exempted in service tax, you won't be liable in GST. Not true. Please go through that article, it has so many items where, in fact, I was surprised. Within a day of it being uploaded, more than 7,000 people have read that article. Of course, I host in many places. So, that may be very important. Certificate by statutory body, I talked about that UAS, certificate for defense. You take from the deputy director. Minor procedural lapses may not lead to damage, but you should know in exemption, you should be inside the exemption, then only you can look at procedure. If you are not inside, you will be out. Press notes, we are getting a lot of tweets, press notes and all that. Are these legal? 95% of the tweets and press notes are correct, what the government is giving. 95%. What about that 5%? You might have looked at that 5% and done something, what will happen? You are still subjected to notice and you may get an adverse order also. Because they are not legal. They are supposed to aid businesses. Sometimes it may go against you. In fact, from the Institute of Chartered Accountants, officially we are told government to stop tweets. Because 5% at least is incorrect. And in fact, once Hasmukh Kadia said what you are saying in the public domain, he mentioned that you are mentioning this. I told him three questions I asked him, which he has given on tweets. He gave the answer. I said, that's not what your tweet says. So I rest my case, I told him. But tweets are still continuing, right? They are still giving tweets? Yeah. So it may not be legal, but anyway it gives direction of government's thought. this I won't take, this is an example which you can read later. You will see how many things are involved in just one transportation example. This is a case study actually. I have done it to show how many things are involved. It's not just looking at transportation. And how we have to account. Sometimes you have to make your accounts different. For example, in transportation, if I am a company who is taking transportation, I will have one head for transportation plane. Then I will have one head for exempted transportation. Then I will have one head for forward transportation. Then I will have one head for reverse charge transportation. And in reverse charge transportation, I may break it up into eligible transportation and not eligible transportation. Why? Only in these cases I am paying, and forward charge that fellow is paying. In that I will break it up into eligible and ineligible. So how many accounts? I am talking about 10 accounts for transportation. Why? Because you will have in a business so many different types of activities. They will be exempted, they will be non-exempted. There will be something which is not transportation. So where will it come? You use an auto to take something from here to the market and come back. Is that liable for GST? It's not liable for GST. It was not liable for service tax also. But many people are paying reverse charge on that also. Anyway, I am not getting into detail of that. So action points is, first I have to read carefully the tariff. Before that, of course, I told you how you have to get good understanding of business and all. I have just given some thought process. Look at the conditions. For example, Atta, Annapurna Atta, I took example. There are a lot of Attas here also, Karnataka also, which are famous. Jyoti, Surya, something like that. Now, many of them, they have applied for withdrawal. When maybe around 2nd or 3rd of July, they have applied for withdrawal. Who have they applied for withdrawal with? With the trademark authority. How many years it takes to give you trademark? 3 years. How many years you will take to withdraw trademark? I am asking you. He may take 1 year to withdraw the trademark also. He is a government, no. He will work in his own way, there will be many things. So, therefore, withdrawal also will be only when it is withdrawn. It's better not to use the trademark till your trademark is withdrawn. Don't use the trademark if you want to enjoy the exemption. So, very, very important aspects can come up. If you have a lot of difficulty represent to the government, yeah. I will finish in 5 minutes. You be here to introduce etc.
Yeah.
Representation in case of hardship. You can represent, this is my hardship which I am having. For example, in tamarind, again, what we have told, we have said tamarind is first of all used by the poor. You thought in foreign countries it may be used by the rich. And it has been confused with dry fruits where rightly the rate of 12% is there. So therefore, please exempt this by a notification that tamarind under 0813 is exempt. That's all. Dry tamarind is exempt. Seeds. We said seed is a basic item. Tamarind powder, only if it is registered brand name and in unit container it is liable. Tamarind powder is after tamarind seed or before tamarind seed? Is it before tamarind or after tamarind? It obviously after that. A higher product is at nil rate, the lower product is at tax. Is not proper is what we tell. So most probably government will take care of it. That is through representation. Representation does not happen. Then what I have to do? They don't agree. Then I have to go to court and tell them this is arbitrary. Court may or may not interfere. So which court you should go? Very important. There are some courts where the judges are already aware of the indirect tax. Better to go to the courts in those states, Delhi or Gujarat, not in Karnataka. You may not get the relief because the person doesn't understand. Remember, whatever said and done, understanding and appreciating the law and its nuances, interpretation, rules, judges don't have so much time. You can't go and teach them whole of excise and its classification principles. They will give you 5 minutes. In that 5 minutes you have to tell. Not that. Some judges give you a lot of time, but they have not read the law, so they don't understand what you are saying. So sometimes the court also makes a difference. You can go to court. Advance ruling is when you yourself have a doubt. You have a doubt and your turnover is big. Many of your clients Many of you are multinational companies, maybe having 100 crore turnover. Somebody has said something is possible, like this company of which I talked about, who is doing this humidifier, etc. He is a system integrator. His turnover is 80 crores. Now, if he makes a mistake, 8 crores per year will be his hit. 28 minus 18, 10%. How can he afford that? His margin will be hardly anything. So, such a person will like to go for advanced ruling because amount is big, he will go for advanced ruling. So, he can go for advanced ruling. If advanced ruling comes adverse, at least he can give it to his customers and see, I have told them this is my business and therefore I would like to charge 28 instead of 18. Disclosure to revenue also is very important. Telling the revenue that where you are, I have done all this based on this. Please confirm that I am right. These are the steps you need to take because of whenever you have any classification issue. I hope the session was somewhat educative. Please understand, many of the seminars we are having are for you to get some direction. Some of it you will not get full clarity, but you will certainly get direction from all our speakers. And these 2 days we are looking more at procedural subjects. That is why we took up classification, how to claim classification, how to claim exemptions. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.